Hi, Faris. How you doing, man? You okay?
Yes, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. Thanks for asking. It's just for a quick chat, really. I wanted to catch up with a few things with you, but I know that for you at the moment, obviously, you kind of just started to really burst on the scene like internationally. So I think it'd be quite good to give people a bit of your background. So, do you mind if I ask, could you take me back to when you first started training? How did you sort of discover jiu-jitsu?
So basically, I started a bit later than most. Most people probably start when they're kids, if they're lucky enough to have someone they know in jiu-jitsu. But I started fairly late, like after kind of high school, like around 18, 19. That's when I started to train jiu-jitsu. I just tried to find something that I could like I had a lot of free time, right? Because I didn't go to university straight away. So I was like, okay, what can I do? What am I interested in? And at the time I was super interested in like UFC and MMA, like most people who get into jiu-jitsu are. And I was like lifting weights, with my dad. And there was this gym. It was like it was kind of like a rough, like like an old school gym where they have like a lot of the metal weights, but they play like UFC, like the old school UFC stuff on the TV. And basically I was like, interested in it. I had a friend, he was kind of training in a social project where they have this thing in London called Fight for Peace. So he basically took me there to do like a jiu-jitsu class because he showed me and my friend a triangle and arm. I was like, oh, that's sick. Like, do you know what I mean? It actually works, right? So he went down to this class, tried it out, enjoyed it. But I didn't get the opportunity to like just keep doing it for whatever reason. I think because studies and stuff like that came in the way. Then once I finished college, I went over to like a gym. I was like looking up gyms. Obviously Gracie is like the big thing, right? Especially like, the UFC and the Gracie University channel was like one of the big things on YouTube, right? So I just wrote, oh, like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu near my gym. So I went to Carlson Gracie. I tried a class there. Didn't really like the vibe. It was a bit like, everyone just trying to kill each other. All good, right? You know, I'm kind of like that now, but at the time, just getting into it, it's a bit daunting. You know what I mean? And then I went to Roger Gracie, which had a bit more of a chill vibe. Not knowing who Roger was at the time, it was just I just well, okay, it's just a gym. Let me just go train there, right? And didn't know like obviously they super accomplished in jiu-jitsu. And then I liked the vibe of the gym and then just stuck there and stayed there. And for like, an 18-year-old kid, probably paying £120 a month for a gym membership, it's quite a lot, but I knew I was gonna try and make the most of it and train as much as I could. And that's kind of just what I did in the beginning when I started jiu-jitsu.
So did you always have the goal of pursuing it as like an actual career, or at the start was it just more like a hobby then?
It was entirely a hobby, mate. Yeah, it didn't really become a career until a couple of months into it, to where I found, okay, I'm pretty good at this. Like, you know, I always had like weird ambitions, right? Like I always wanted to kind of set my my goals super high. I was like, there was one guy, I think he got his black belt in like 4 years from him, right? So I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it 4 years too, right? Or like, the whole, oh, I'm gonna try and be world champion. Trying to kind of like achieve something, like make the goal super high to where, if you fail, like what's the saying? I don't know the saying. I think it's like, you know, aim for the stars or aim for the planet or the sun so you fall on the stars. I don't know. Someone could quote that in it. You know what I mean? But I butcher it.
And then when, so you say it was only a couple of months in, you decided to take it like pretty seriously. And what was the kind of like tipping point where, because I know, like you said, you started quite late, so you must have sort of been aware of, those like childhood competitors that are like 16, 17 years old, already beating black belts kind of thing. When did you find that you were sort of like getting to that point where you were like, oh, I can actually do this seriously. I'm actually beating people that are technically a lot better than me or more experienced kind of thing.
Um, I think the turning point was probably at the end of my blue belt. That's when I thought, okay, like, I could probably try and pursue this. Like I'm doing well. I'm medaling at majors, achieving, being good guys coming from Brazil, like, young kids. having wars with people that have been training for longer, right? So that was kind of the pushing point where I was like, okay, let me try and like, go for this and really try to pursue it. At the time, obviously, blue belt, purple belt, it's quite hard, to make a living off of jiu-jitsu. But I just kind of stayed consistent. I was in a fortunate position where I could kind of just do what I wanted. So I just took advantage of that. I went to university in a way just to kind of grab the loan so I could use the money for the loan to kind of travel and do all these competitions and stuff like that. And I was helping a little bit with like kids classes and stuff like that, just to kind of, and traveling from gym to gym, teaching. Like I was traveling like 1 hour to one gym, then going to another gym, another like half an hour away, just to make a little bit of money to kind of fund the journey, and having like little part-time jobs here and there where you work in a store. All the jobs, by the way, got fired from, right? But besides the point, was never really what I wanted to do, so it's fine.
And then obviously with you training at Rogers Academy in London, it's a very sort of like prestigious place, but I know he personally is obviously a very busy guy. So did you get much chance to train with him during your journey through the color belt ranks?
Um, well, I don't know. It's hard to say, to be honest with you. Like, I train with him a fair bunch. There's people that probably go from white to black with him that never get to train with him once. So yeah, I managed to get a couple rounds with him when I was like coming up, just because I'd be in the competition class, and generally that's where he would train or teach. So then I'd have the opportunity to train with him then. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And then obviously fast forward then to your sort of completing that journey to the belt ranks when you got your black belt a couple of years ago now, and I know you started training at the Los Banditos gym as well. You represent both, though, don't you? Is that right?
No, now I'm just solely Los Banditos. I've kind of cut the ties with Roger Gracie Academy. So now I'm gonna just represent Los Banditos and maybe some other gyms. Like I'll probably put out the feeders, like probably in the future. If there's any opportunity, somewhere that could kind of support, I'm not too fussed about it. I kind of would want to represent a team to where I can have the support to go out and help me to go compete around the world. You know what I mean? That would be more beneficial to me. Los Banditos is the owner, Joe. He's obviously a close friend. He's also, Roger Gracie black belt. So, we're very close. So I'm happy to represent his gym, and I'm training there. The guys are great. Gym's great. So yeah, I think probably moving forward, I'm representing them. And then, later on down the line, if there's another gym that's going to help with the competitions and stuff like that I can represent, I'll probably represent them, kind of like a football transfer.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, it's something that used to get like frowned on quite a lot like a couple of years ago, but it is just the nature of the game these days where you've got to go where your career is going to be best helped kind of thing.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
That's it, right? Yeah.
yeah, and then obviously you had quite a good performance last year at ADCC Trials as well, where you finished fourth. Is that still on your sort of like schedule now? Is that what you're going to be preparing for like in the later half of the year? Is that next run at Trials?
I think probably that's my goal moving forward, just to get into ADCC, get the ADCC, um, try win that the trials, and then have a standoff performance, similar to my friend Owen Jones, because you can see how big it can kind of change your life, especially if you have a breakout performance like he did, and go from there kind of thing, and then take what opportunities come to me, right? But yeah, that's the main focus. Obviously, that ADCC trials, I wasn't really training so much Nogi at the time, but I managed to do pretty well. Like I feel like the a thing about me is I one of my strengths, I wouldn't say I'm the most technical guy, I don't really have much of a strategy going into most fights, but I feel like I can kind of keep a consistency in terms of staying like mentally resilient throughout the day. Like I don't know if you know, but like 86 trials it's a long day. You're there from 10 a.m. and then obviously if you're there until the final, you could be there till 8 p.m. So just to stay on the ball and having like 2 hours in between matches, sometimes you have to kind of stay in the zone, and I feel like I'm quite good at that. Unfortunately, obviously, I made some mistakes in the semis. It cost me. It should have probably been me and Taylor in the final, but you know, it's lessons learned, and we're gonna make those improvements for the next one.
So what would you say has been the biggest takeaway that you've gotten from that past trials when that you can sort of like work on now then?
Um, it's hard to say. Obviously, it's such a different game to the gi. You know, it has its pros and its cons, right? But I definitely feel like I've just had more mat time. That's the biggest thing. I get to train with good guys on a daily basis. People, travel down to Los Banditos as well, high level compares. So I'm always getting good rounds. And I think my plan for this year is probably to go to America and spend some time out there, train with some of the boys, maybe spend some time in San Diego or spend some time in Texas, and just get better skills. I think it's all about skill acquisition. So anything you face, you have an answer to deal with it. And you're only going to get that by having a room full of people with different games, unless you're like an anomaly, like some guys are, of course. But yeah, I don't think I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, no, you are right that I think even though a few people do manage to get to a really good level training with like less experienced or less competent partners and stuff, most of the most successful competitors in the world, they're all in the same gyms, aren't they? You know what I mean? They're all sharing the mat together day in, day out, because that's the whole iron sharpens iron kind of thing.
Yeah, well, this is one of the biggest things why I kind of just tried train Nogi now, right? I feel, especially in the UK, we have a good opportunity to be world class in Nogi, right? Like especially in the room that I'm in, we have some of the best guys. Obviously, we got Owen and Flanagan, Taylor, Charles Negromonte. We get guys like Joseph coming in to train. So we have tons of good guys training, right? But it's not the same in the gi, right? Like in the gi, obviously the Brazilians they're so ahead of the game, a lot of them, right? And just because they have that room full of tough competitors, especially if you go to Brazil, Sao Paulo, you got all those big teams there. You got America with AOJ and Atos, Checkmat as well. So it's super hard to compete with them, especially if you don't have a room similar to that, I feel. It's very rare where you find like a guy winning the worlds who isn't from a big team in the gi, right? So yeah, that's kind of one of the biggest things that kind of made me kind of focus more on Nogi because I just feel like I could have achieved more, in a shorter space of time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've up until quite recently, you've been competing in the Guyana Nogi at a high level all year long. Are you actually going to focus solely on Nogi now moving forward?
I've only been really training Nogi, to be honest with you, since last Worlds. Like the last Worlds I did, I fought Ronaldo Jr. We had a good fight. He beat me by an advantage, like kind of right at the end of the fight, to where I felt like, I was doing, I felt like I would have won the decision if it went to 0-0. But he's great experience. He's very experienced, capitalized on the moment, got an advantage, and in the last 30 seconds knew how to like kind of kill the game and hold the game, right? And then that was the last kind of time I trained Gi, right? And then up until that, since probably May, I've just been Nogi. Yeah, solely Nogi. Even for this ADXC fight, like, I just put on a gi for 2 weeks, full sending it. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But like I'm pretty confident. I'm feeling great right now. So yeah, I feel like the Nogis definitely helped my game overall. But yeah, I feel I'm thinking I'm just gonna probably solely focus on the Nogi just because the trials is my focus. ADCC is my focus. Yeah, the Gi's dead, man. Do you know what I mean? There's no money in the Gi. So, you know, people don't even know this guy I'm fighting. That's the biggest thing, right? So it's uh it's one of those ones. I think there's a lot more marketing behind the Nogi scene now. So I feel like I want to be there because that's where the opportunities are gonna lie the most.
Yeah, you're not wrong either. There's definitely more money in Nogi now. Yeah, I think that's something that people have sort of learned over the last couple of years is that it's night and day, the difference between them. And you mentioned the upcoming match on ADXC 9 as well. You're facing Davi Vetoraci. You two have had a bit of like back and forth lately and a bit of like even social media and stuff. What's the like background behind that?
Uh, there's no really a background, to be honest with you, mate. Like, I don't really know Davi so much. I've never really met him. I know him and his brother had a good little family moment at the Europeans. You know, they're very happy, you know, putting a hand up, which is great for them, right? I fought Mateus in Rome 2023. I beat him by ref decision. But the thing that frustrates me, obviously, this is more of a recent thing. Like he wants to obviously make excuses to losing. You know, he's claiming that he had two broken ribs, right? But you know, I don't know if if you've had a rib injury, right? But if you've ever had a rib injury, you cannot do anything. You can't even breathe properly, right? Number one. Two, right? If you had a rib injury, you would probably wouldn't go and compete the next championship a couple of days later, which would be the Nogi Europeans, right? So for me, you gotta have honor when you take a loss, man. Just take it on the chin. Everyone loses, doesn't matter, you know. So that was a big thing for me. So I think from him doing that, it just kind of put a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. So, but yeah, other than that, like, yeah, I'm just gonna go out there and scrap pretty much, see how he does under the pressure of, you know, a crowd and being in the cage. It's not IBJJF now. Can't play the edge. You can't run out of bounds. And I feel like, especially for me, I feel like this is good. Like I always do good in like big mat spaces. Um, so yeah, this is even better because there's nowhere to run now.
Do you think that the cage and the round split as well? Because I know it's 3 5 minute rounds, isn't it? So do you think that all like plays your favor then, the way that you compete?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. I'm very explosive, so it works very well for me. Yeah, just because of those short rounds and the cage. You know, there's more utilities to use now. I can risk more. I don't have to worry about points. I just gonna have to gotta make it a show pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's obviously like you sort of mentioned earlier. That's a G match you got coming up. Is that what was the reason for sort of like taking the G match for ADXC? Was it just that the opportunity presented itself kind of thing, or was it a specific match you wanted?
Um, they came to me with the match. You know, I think it's a good opportunity. He has a lot of momentum behind him. He's obviously won Euros, so it'd be a good match. It's got a little background story, you know, considering that I beat the other twin. So if I beat both, then you know, that's it, man. You're just gonna see me right off in the sunset. You will never be able to fight me again unless you take off the gi. So yeah, I think it just interested me. It was a good match. I think it's a good match. It's entertaining. Originally, they made a prelim. You know, obviously, I've promoted the shit out of it, made it what it is, right? And now it's a co-main event. So you know, there's a lot of hype going behind it now, and that's what I think jiu-jitsu needs. You know, there's too much of this. You know, like yeah. Like we don't have to be buddy buddy all the time. You know, sometimes things have to be a show, right? And that's what people are gonna tune in and watch ultimately.
Yeah, you made a good point as well that I think those that kind of attitude and that kind of like self promotion and stuff that's only going to give you bigger opportunities in the future as well. You know what I mean?
Yes, you gotta risk it, man. You gotta bet on yourself sometimes, talk some shit, right? What's gonna happen? What's the worst that's gonna happen realistically, right? I lose, my life's the same, right? Obviously, I'm not gonna lose, but I'm just giving an example. But if you win, you reap way more rewards than if you just was quiet and just did the whole, you know, went through the motions. So that's a big thing as well. Like, you know, for me, especially, like I went years and years being a top guy, especially in the UK, winning these IBJJF Opens, medaling at majors, and it did nothing for me. Nothing, right? No opportunities really came my way. Like I only gone to that UK show, right? It's like they call it professional something. I don't know. Begins with P. They can suck, bro, right? They only got me at black belt, right? So a big thing as well, I think, is like if you homegrown athletes in the UK, you're gonna have more stars, right? So hence why now I'm just like, I don't even care. Like, I don't care anymore about anything. Like, I don't care if I get on any shows. I don't care. I'm just gonna go out there, make a show, make it entertaining, and then just keep it moving, pretty much, right? Because yeah, the humble thing, yeah, it died a long time ago. It didn't get me anywhere. So now I gotta be the bad guy, gotta be the heel, let the people know. Let someone, bro, do you know how many Brazilians have been commenting on me? Like, they get so emotional, these people, right? Over the littlest things, right? I say, yo, you gotta restore your honor, your family's honor to the guy, right? Just obviously, he probably understands what I'm saying, right? Because he gets the concept. But these guys are acting like I'm insulting his family, right? And they're trying to attack me. But the thing is, like, no one knows who you guys are, right? You guys are taking time out of your day to watch me and comment on me, right? So they pay the same price, right? Whether they love or hate you, they're gonna have to pay to watch. So that's a big thing. So that's what we're going with now. And let's be the bad guy.
No, it's a fair point. You wouldn't be the first person to take that kind of approach as well. You know, it's not. It's kind of like a tried and tested thing. And then
Yeah.
the promotion you were mentioning earlier, I'm pretty sure you were talking about Polaris, were you?
I don't know, man. I don't know if they're that good though. I'm not.
So you fought Powell, did you? Powell Jaworski, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good performance, realistically. I mean, it was a good match. But do you not want to go back there again? Do you?
Do I want to go back to Polaris? Or
Yeah.
do I want to go back to Powell? Both, man. Me and Powell we'll for sure fight. You know, again, for sure, we'll probably see each other, right? Yeah, like I've said before, like he's a good guy. Like I don't have no problems with him. He's a good kid. Polaris, I'll definitely fight on Polaris again if they bring the money. So yeah, they need to pay up. That's the only thing. I don't know if they'll get me back on. Obviously, I feel like my scandals and what I did, they weren't too fond of, right? They were laughing at up until a point, but then obviously one of the guys probably just got too upset, so then all of them had to kind of turn their back on me a bit. But it's their loss, in my opinion. You know, they get something out of it. They got a lot out of it. Bad press is good press. So yeah, it's up to them. I'm down in it. I have no ill will. I'm just trying to make some money.
And then the only other thing I really wanted to like go through with you was probably well, definitely is your biggest achievement so far. Obviously, you have been moved up to the champion from Nogi World last year. So you're the first British man to win a world title at IBJJF, which is pretty massive, you know. Um, can I ask though, if you're being like sort of like open and honest about it, how did it feel to have that kind of like double-edged thing where you won the world title, but obviously Felipe Costa got disqualified in the final for failing a drugs test. So I mean, how did that sort of like news come to you? Were you happy regardless, or how did you feel about it?
Um, yeah, I don't know to be honest. I think really you can't really feel too happy about it, right? Right? Because it's not like obviously I would want to be on the top spot of the podium, you know, have that moment, right? And I think obviously a lot of like Olympians talk about that as well, right? Especially in freestyle wrestling. So, you know, obviously I wasn't like, oh yeah, it's a great achievement for me, my personal achievement. You know, just to have the title is still a title now that I claim, right? But it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna try go for another one and basically have that moment where I stand on top of the podium. Okay. So yeah, it's good. It's like you said, it's a double-edged sword, right? There's goods and bads to it, right? But yeah, I'm happy about it. Like I feel like it's a big achievement, like just to have that world title under my belt, right? And kind of achieve what I set out to do all those years ago. But I would definitely want to run it back with Felipe, right? Maybe, yeah, we'll have to run that one back because yeah, it'll be good just to run. It'll just be good. Little storyline behind it. So yeah, that's kind of a thing that I want to do in the future.
Nice. And is there any other matches that you've got in mind that you want to take, either rematches or new opponents that you'd want to face now in the next year or two?
Nothing that comes to mind so much, but yeah, I'm pretty much open to find anyone. Yeah, as long as you know it's right. Like I'll fight them for free as well at a championship. So I think one of the things that I want to do uh is the trials. I probably want to do the Brazilian nationals. That's one thing I want to go and do. Whether it's in another gi or gi, and obviously um, in the world again. Those are kind of the things I want to focus on and just try and do as much super fights as I can, get those opportunities under my belt, have a good performance this weekend, take it home, you know, God willing, and see what opportunities arise from the victory.
Nice, nice. And I mean, even with only a couple of super fights, you've got a pretty busy year ahead. If you're planning to do trials, Nogi Brasileiro, and then Nogi Worlds as well, that's going to be a pretty busy year in itself, you know?
You think so? Yeah, yeah. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's good, right? It's better to stay busy than to just not do anything, right? Because I feel like as well when you're competing, it's important to compete consistently just so you can have um that timing on the mats and kind of be used to that feeling of adrenaline.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not alone. I think everyone's sort of talked about that as competing is a different sort of like skill set to actually just doing jiu-jitsu. Like
Yeah,
the difference between rolling in the gym and rolling on the mats in front of people and referee there and everything, it's totally different to be honest with you.
yeah. I feel like I'm definitely one of those people that will thrive. I thrive more so like on a competition, like I can just turn it on, as opposed to in training. In training, I just kind of take it a bit more easy and rest a bit more. I feel sometimes I feel like for the worlds and for trials, I felt horrible. Like I was just, probably getting not beat up, but like I wasn't doing well. Like things just wasn't working. And then when I go out on the competition mats and the competitions, I just managed to turn on and have like crazy performances. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a mindset thing, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. The mental game does play a huge role whenever anyone's competing, in any sport, I think. That's pretty much everything I wanted to go through with you though, Faris. Is there anything that you want to say or anyone you wanted to shout out to, sponsors, anything like that?
Obviously, got to shout out my sponsor, Faris Ben. They've been supporting me since Blue Belt, so give a little shout out to them. Go buy some stuff from them. Obviously, my team, all the guys support me at Los Banditos, and yeah, man, let's hopefully let's have a good year. That's the goal, man. Moving forward, and let's smash it up at ADXC. Let's get some people mad.
Nice, nice. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to me and best of luck at ADXC as well.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.